Hi everybody, and hopefully you can see me. Welcome to the Perifery and the RA webinar about revolutionizing media storage. I'll give it another. I know we're a little late already, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But I'll give it another 30 seconds just to see if any more are joining.
I think your location's going to make it obvious why we're late, Peter.
Well, okay, so let's make it obvious. So this is supposed to be a fireside chat, and it would be quite nice to be sitting by a fire right now. Instead, I'm sat in one of our workmen's cars because whilst taking the dogs out for a walk, managed to lose the house keys and my car keys. So then spent an hour and a half retracing my steps to see if I can find them. And as it turns out, after all of that, they were in the house all along, and we can't get in. And the one spare key we have for the front door, there's a key on the other side, so a locksmith is on its way. So for now, I'm now sitting in a car. So I tell you what, we'll crack on because I'm sure kids are imminently on their way back as well to cause more disruption. So look, thanks everyone for joining. Hopefully some useful information to talk about. Now I do have a bit of an agenda as well. I'm using two phones to work this out. So just to introduce who you're talking to today, I'm sure Sean doesn't need any introductions, but me, for those that don't know me, Pete, Senior Sales Director at Perifery. I'll talk about Perifery in just a minute because Perifery may be relatively unknown to you, and we've also got Sean from ERA, and we'll go through a bit of an overview of our partnership and collaboration. But I guess let's start off by just running through the agenda. So these are the things that we'll aim to cover in some sort of fashion. We may go off topic, but in the large, we've got a few things that we want to run through, and there's a Q&A session at the end that we can answer any questions that you might have. But we'll just run through who we are, how the partnership started, and sort of the vision and the goals for the collaboration, bit of technical overview of how it's all deployed and how it's commercially offered, and then how the joint solution addresses the industry challenges. And then, as I say, we'll open up to a Q&A at the end. But if you've got any questions during the session, so just pop them into the chat, and we'll aim to answer them as we go along. If not at the end. So let's just do a bit of an introduction into the companies. So for those that aren't aware of Perifery, I'll start. Perifery are a software company, and we are the media specialist division of Datacore. Now, you may not have heard of Perifery, and you probably haven't heard of Datacore either. Perifery is relatively new and is built up of some relatively new acquisitions, one of which is Object Matrix, and I'm sure some of you have heard of Object Matrix. So again, we specialize in media, particularly video, and we provide object storage solutions and applications particularly suited for nearline and active archive workflows within the media world. Over the years, we've built out a bunch of applications that enable you to simply and easily access your content regardless of where you are. And that's always been the ethos, to ensure that all of our customers have unrivaled access to their content at all times. So we have applications from file system, analytics tools. We're particularly tied to, or we have some tight integrations to Avid and certainly Media Central, and now Avid MAM as well. And we have an asset management tool as well called Vision. It's not a traditional asset management tool, but it enables you to view and do lots with your content regardless of where you are. We've got some pretty exciting news coming out in the short term, I guess following a fairly new acquisition as well, which enables us to offer a lot more functionality within Vision, and namely sort of more AI functionality, but lots more to come on that. We've got a webinar at some point soon. So anyway, that's Perifery. We are a global company, and we also partner with as many media third parties as possible to ensure that, again, you've always got unrivaled and seamless access to your content. So I'll hand over to Sean just to run through. I'm sure he doesn't need to do it, but to run through who ERA are and what they do.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. For those of you that don't know who ERA are, we've been around a little longer than the Perifery brand, but we're into our 25th year this year, and we're very much focused in the media and entertainment market space. Hence the tie-up with Perifery and Object Matrix. But what we focus on in that industry is providing infrastructure as a service and on-demand service to clients, particularly with in media and entertainment, but certainly across the scope of high resolution type workstations, storage, connectivity, and associated workflow tools that go with that, which is us in a quick summary.
Cool. Thanks, Sean. Nice. So I guess let's crack on and talk about the partnership. So starting from where it began and moving on from there. So look, I've got a load of questions, Sean. I'm going to fire away at you, and I'll certainly help and join as much as possible. So from your perspective, or from ERA's perspective, what aspects of Perifery's offering, in particular Object Matrix, were particularly appealing, leading to the decision of ultimately working together?
Yeah, I think for us it goes back quite a long way in terms of working with Object Matrix and working with Data Core. So those two products coming together from a Perifery perspective has worked very well for us. We've used a Data Core Sound Symphony product as the core of some of our infrastructure storage. So on our on-demand virtualized infrastructure, the underlying storage for that has been Data Core Sound Symphony pretty much from the day that we started. So we've had an 8-year-long relationship with Data Core now, and that's worked very well for us. And we've known Object Matrix and worked with Object Matrix for a really long time, probably going back to 2005, on and off. But more recently, Object Matrix has become a key part of our infrastructure, certainly on our object storage offering and tying into our Coeus platform.
Yeah, cool. I mean, it's been a while, hasn't it, Sean? And it's
Yeah.
nice to finally be able to work together. But I think hopefully the takeaway from this is it makes sense, because over the years, what we've been providing, certainly as a software company, is the ability for any of our customers to create a sort of private cloud environment. And for those, and particularly you, Sean, where you have you got a lot of customers that rely on, let's say, sort of managed services to protect and store content in archive workflows, and are particularly looking for object storage backup, then it just made sense. And certainly with some of the applications that we have that complement where users can access and distribute their content.
Yeah, absolutely. We were seeing a demand appearing for some object storage within our infrastructure from our media marketplace. We've had our Coeus platform running for a number of years now, and Object Matrix made complete sense. The media tie-ins from an Object Matrix perspective using the Vision interface and the Avid tie-ins were really neat for us as a way into our archive platform, as well as being able to deliver that object storage.
Okay, cool. And I mean, in terms of sort of the initial stages, do you have any sort of anecdotes or sort of behind the scenes insights that help to sort of form or solidify the partnership?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious ones were people from that perspective, and then industry awareness from both companies. I think we both focus within the media and entertainment as our primary marketplace. So a great understanding and a great relationships from our perspective between the two companies, and the understanding of the industry that we're going over, or we're working into, I should say. And then the tools that have been developed, as I say, I've just alluded to it a moment ago, but the tools that have been developed that go alongside the object storage and object matrix, from our perspective, added massive value to what we offer. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the thing for me. It's the sort of both companies being specialists in the media world and having the focus from the support side, which is the reason why, again, collectively we've both got a really good reputation and long-standing customers because of the support that we offer through the, let's say, expertise of the employees and the skilled people that we have. So it's
yeah.
sort of it goes hand in hand really well. So in terms of then sort of shared goals and vision, I mean, how did you align your sort of objectives to create a strategic partnership? And um, I guess my question is, how does ERA or how did ERA sort of future plans fit in then with those of Periphery and Object Matrix
Yeah,
to
yeah.
make it the right decision?
I think the object matrix and periphery roadmap within the media space and the crossover in clients that we have, and then our growth plans over the coming years. We've been providing infrastructure services for about 8 years now. So we started in 2015, and that's been predominantly UK based and UK based customers. But there's demand growing from our UK-based customers to be able to offer services, in various regions. In 2023, we opened infrastructure in India, in Mumbai, to service clients in that area. We've also opened infrastructure in North America, based in Montreal. And having Object Matrix as part of our infrastructure just allows us to have a more global storage plan from our clients' perspective. We can get access in those various locations. So we're certainly focused on building out our Object Matrix infrastructure around those regions as we grow and where we choose to grow in the future as well.
Okay, so just to touch on that, and so currently deployed in the UK and
Yeah.
targeted at currently at UK companies. So there is the desire to roll that out to the locations that you mentioned and to grow
Yeah,
the
absolutely. We're in
overseas.
in multiple locations in the UK now, so we can offer that diversity in terms of where data is actually stored. So it's not in a single location. But yeah, definitely future plans to grow. So if customers need that worldwide workflow, or they want that diversity to have storage located in certain more diverse locations, then we definitely plan to grow that infrastructure into those locations.
Great, sounds good.
Yeah.
Always pleased to grow in different regions.
Yeah.
So I guess moving on to the technical side now, let's talk a little bit about that. Um, so how would you say how does Periphery's object matrix platform, I got that mixed up
Yeah.
then as well, seamlessly integrate with ERA's infrastructure? So
Yeah.
in terms of the deployment, how did that sort of seamlessly integrate into?
Yeah, so there was a number of reasons there that really helped us make that decision. A big part of our infrastructure is our archive platform, Coeus, and we've got APIs already inbuilt with Object Matrix that can tie into our Coeus platform. So once we've got that link in place, then it opens up a world of application for us from a workflow perspective, to meet more of our clients' needs. So just using the vision element of Object Matrix gives us a nice media interface into our, obviously, Object Matrix storage as well as our archive storage. And we also have ties in with Axle. Again, Axle tie-ins to Periphery and Object Matrix, Axle tie-ins to our Coeus archive. So the three platforms from our perspective really built a complete solution, and gives a lot of tools and functionality to our client base. They were the
Yeah,
real driving factors.
yeah, absolutely. And I guess that's the ability then to I guess to integrate anything via the API or via S3 in the future is ideal. And then you've also got the benefit, as you mentioned, of using Vision and the interesting functionality that's likely to be available in the coming months. And we'll talk again more about that another time. But
Yeah,
actually, for those that want a little bit more of an in-depth asset management tool, and having Axel, and we work tightly with Axel and we have deployments is great.
Yeah,
So
no,
lots of options, and then of course the ability to I guess sort of look more into Avid workflows where we've got a tight integration.
yeah,
Um,
no, absolutely. Yeah, that was a key point I missed in that description there. Yeah, we've got a number of clients
but
that
I'd
use
poke you
Avid.
there just to,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We've got a number of clients that use Avid, so to be able to plug in and use the object store as a nearline to say their Nexus or whatever their primary Avid storage is has been a real bonus.
perfect. And then we also have an upcoming integration with Avid MAM as well. So for those that have Avid MAM and use the ERA storage platform based on Object Matrix, there's the ability to pull the metadata along with the asset as well. So actually what that gives you is disaster recovery outside of an Avid environment. So you can always access your content securely from your location.
Yeah,
And also we've got an Adobe panel I should mention coming out as well. So again, just another string to the bow, looking ahead into the future. So I mean, look, we talked about some of the advantages and considerations, but from ERA's perspective, then what were the main things that stood out for you, Sean? So what were the reasons why? I mean, again, we've probably covered most of these, but what were the main sort of drivers that you thought, do you know what, actually, Object Matrix would make a lot of sense because it's just the way it will seamlessly fit into ERA's ethos and what you're planning to roll out in the future.
yeah. I mean, a lot of it, as you say, we've just covered as key points, but technically, really under the covers, the way that the system is built suits our environment and suits our growth plans. It's built on hardware infrastructure that we're very familiar with supporting and building. So technically, building the platform underneath fits neatly from an engineering perspective with us, and it is easy for us to support as we roll it out around the world. The key functionality, as we've already summarised, the Avid plugins, the media vision applications, um, the other elements that tie us into the media workflow from a client perspective has been key. We're starting to see more and more demand for object storage interface, and as we're growing in the demand on our workstation infrastructure grows, it's giving us a lot of flexibility in how our clients can access those workstations and access storage.
Perfect. On that note, I do think we've got a slide. Oh, here we are.
Yeah.
We've got a slide on the deployment. Do you want to just touch on that a little bit, Sean? I know you mentioned you've got two locations within the UK, so it's worth just mentioning that, or touching on the SLA side of things, and then the sort of growth for the future.
Yeah, I mean, this slide just summarises what we've just been talking about. But from our perspective, we've got a number of instances of the periphery object matrix already built in the UK. So we've got plenty of redundancy built in from a client file perspective. We've done a lot of work to integrate our platforms and link that in so we can spin up clients quickly and easily to get access to the vision interface or the Axle interface, depending on what they're choosing to use. And then we can see there we've already got our India infrastructure and Canada infrastructure online, but as we grow that infrastructure, then the plan is to grow our object matrix infrastructure into those locations.
So here's an off the cuff question. What would you say if anyone came over to you, Sean, and said, "Look, we're looking at public cloud. We're looking at using public cloud for some, for whether it's backup purposes or just generic cloud storage." What would you tell them? What would you say to encourage them to use ERA's service instead?
Staying away from cost.
You can touch on cost as well. Let you know
uh,
I love to talk about
Yeah, no,
that.
I mean, cost is a headline from our perspective. That's the I would say the easy win from our perspective, but the predictable cost more than just cost. Um, when we put our solutions together, we build those solutions and tend to give a price which, if it's a per month price, what we quote is what you'll pay, and you get a very definite invoice at the end of that period that says I've used 1 terabyte of object storage. We don't have hidden costs like ingress and egress costs. So simplicity is a big point from our perspective. And then and then clearly, the tools that come with it we're back to the tools again, is a real differentiator from our perspective in using the system. Whether you need them day one, whether you just know that you're looking for object or archive storage, as the first instance, um, it obviously delivers that easily. But yeah, the tools and the options to add on to that infrastructure as a client needs change or grow, then I think that's the real benefits.
So it's the value, it's the holistic value of all of the services on top of just storage, all of
Just
the
start.
added benefits of the workflow, the applications. Plus, I mean, cost is a factor, and it's one of the most defining factors. And we're not talking about just price per terabyte cost, because that's sort of manageable on low level um,
Yeah,
consumption. It's when you're talking about consistent access, and then let's say potential tie-ins and things like that. But as your volume increases, of course, the costs do considerably. So
yeah, no,
it's everything.
it's
It's
absolutely,
everything.
absolutely, and I think the big unmanageable cost from a client perspective, certainly the clients that we deal with, is how active that storage will be for them. So how much data they're putting in and putting out, and we've got some clients that are very active in the amount of data that comes in and out. Those ingress and egress costs can get out of hand if you're moving large amounts of data around. So we don't have those. We also have the benefit of clients that we're already hosting for, and there's a number of them within the industry that connectivity becomes very fast and very simple if we're hosting that infrastructure in the same place that we might be hosting a client's infrastructure. Putting high speed, quick access to storage in is easy for us to do.
Sounds good. Great. Okay, so we're sort of moving on to a bit more of the commercial side of things as well, and a lot of things that we've already discussed. But the question I had was, within the M&E, the media and entertainment industry, what challenges does the Periphery and ERA collaboration aim to address? Um, we've sort of mentioned some of those, but I mean, what's your take on that, for sort of the talking about now, but also talking about the future? How do you see the industry shaping up in terms of, let's say, managed services, offsite backup,
Yeah.
and how is the collaboration?
Yeah. I mean, from our perspective, we like the customer to host everything with us and run all of their infrastructure with us. But we know that in the real world, that's not going to be the case. I think the future from a vendor perspective and a reseller perspective is obviously we're all the market's moving to a hosted solution, whether that's software or whether that's hardware. And I think from a client's perspective, they're always going to be, in the future, they're going to be pushed into various hosted solutions from various customers, and there's going to be a need to link that data together into those various applications. So it's been important for us to build um, a reliable storage infrastructure that we can quickly and easily allow customers that aren't sitting in our hosted environment that need access to that, whether that be on a point-to-point connection to AWS or whether that be across the internet, easy access. So I think we'll see more, object store interfaces appearing in our application layer. Well, not in ours, in the general application layer from vendors. So I think it's going to be essential to have object storage as part of our offering. And again, as we've already talked about, the bells and whistles over the top of it just really add that value.
The benefits really do, absolutely. So I mean, essentially, what you're providing is a cloud-based service, but without all of the problems and challenges that come with using cloud services that we've already touched on.
Yeah,
Just because somebody might be thinking this, in terms of a couple of further questions I have, in terms of the network. So let's say we have somebody that's interested in looking at using the services you have. What sort of
yeah.
network connectivity is possible?
Um, Obviously, if they're hosting with us already or using some of our services already, then connectivity has probably been thought about. And then once they're internal with us, they can connect at high speed, probably reasonably unlimited certainly in tens of gigabits. Um, from our infrastructure perspective, there isn't really a limitation. So I mean, there is a physical limitation, but it's probably more than the client will have on their end. We have multiple 10 gigabit internet circuits coming into our object storage infrastructure, so we can provision high bandwidth connections as needed.
Okay, perfect. So then when we are talking about potentially integrated Avid workflows and more sort of on-demand workflows, that's certainly a potential with the network capabilities that you have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As I say, yeah, definitely from anyone that's already working with us, but even across the internet, if the client has um, connectivity that will allow them to manage a movement of data from an internet perspective, then yes, that's definitely there from our perspective. And we're very keen on the support and service element. So if we've got clients that don't understand how to do that, then we're very supportive of how to configure and how to plug those services in.
Which is a massive point as well. And I think that some of the biggest challenges that we come up with are we don't have lots of skilled people in house. We need some way of managing anything from the migration to whatever it might be. So having the skill team available to help and to train and to lend a hand is absolutely ideal and key.
We're definitely focused about offering that service. If we've got customers that don't know what a VPN is, or don't know how to configure a point-to-point internet connection, or even how to configure a firewall to let the object storage access through it, then we certainly take on that responsibility and really help them through that process.
Cool, perfect. And in terms of capacity, so are there any limitations on any of that?
I mean, there's no limitations in how big our system can get. There's limitations in how big it physically is today, but we're growing it all the time. So I'd like to think no. I'm hoping we can grow the system as demand requires, and our plan will be to grow it quicker than the clients can put data on there from that perspective. So
From my side, I'm in complete.
the
I was
limitation
going
will
to say,
come
from
in
my
how
side, I'm completely in agreement. Yeah.
yeah. So the limitation will come in how big a periphery object matrix system can get, and that's probably the
Again,
useful bit.
there's no real challenges around the size there. So I guess for anyone that's listening, that as much data as you want to migrate across, that it
Yeah,
makes sense because of the value that collectively as a partnership we offer. And of course, Sean is talking about the support and services around ERA, and ERA are supported by the support and services from Object Matrix and Perifery.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so, just one more question then, Sean. Can you elaborate on the specific strategies employed to overcome these challenges and enhance the industry landscape? Again, sort of something we've touched on a lot, but is there anything else that you wanted to mention on that?
Um, you might need to repeat that a little bit, but I don't think so.
Can you elaborate on specific strategies employed to overcome these challenges and enhance the industry landscape? I guess let's sort of focus on. So for the now, what we're talking about is, let's say, the early stages of the partnership, which is live now. Am I correct in saying?
It is very much live. Yeah, absolutely.
So if anyone was interested and wanted to have a conversation with you about it, then please do reach out after
Yeah,
this. Connect to Sean, connect to me, and we're all in this together. So we'll all point you in the same direction.
yeah,
Um, So that it's live and available now, and as Sean mentioned, it's integrated into the object matrix, or the object store, is integrated into the array system with interfaces and everything else. I guess looking at sort of strategies for the future, and where that all goes,
yeah.
apart from sort of I guess looking at further territories and expanding that out, is there anything else that you have in your vision?
It's becoming as I've already touched on, it's becoming a big part of our, our archive system that we already offer as a service. I think we've got vendors that we're working with already that have got key tie-ins, and some of the decisions we've made over the last 12 months around partners. It's for us best of breed into the market that we're working within, and some of the tools that the vendors are developing, and that includes Axle and Perifery, are sort of the key add-ons for us as we grow.
No, perfect. And as I mentioned, the as we continue to develop as well, because we have a specific focus on the media world, Perifery I'm talking about, we're always developing functions and additional benefits that will feed into the applications that we have, and of course that you have, Sean, to use
Yeah.
and to offer to your customers. And I mentioned sort of AI services, so that's very much there. We've acquired an AI company that will ultimately feed into Vision and other asset management tools for sort of deeper functionality within metadata and enriching and searching and transcribing and clipping and lots of lovely things like that. So that
Yeah.
there's lots of things
Didn't want to
to
give
look
too
forward
much
to.
away there. You've got another announcement around AI, haven't
It's hard to keep that one quiet.
you? Yeah.
Everybody wants to talk about that, so it is challenging.
Yeah.
Um, on that note, then I think we've probably covered lots. Are there any questions from anyone? Let's see if there's any in the chat. I don't know whether they are. There's none in there at the moment. Feel free to ask a question if you have any. Otherwise, I'm assuming, Sean, that we've done pretty well and covered most of
We've covered everything. Yeah, absolutely.
the things we wanted to. Well, whilst we wait to see if anyone's got anything else to add, there is a press release which is knocking around somewhere. It's on the Perifery website, and I'm sure it's on ERA's website as well.
Yeah.
Um, what I would suggest is if anyone would like any further information, do reach out to myself or Sean, and
Yeah.
we'll happily discuss about it in further detail.
Yeah. Yeah. Please feel free.
Anything else you would like to add, Sean, before we wrap up?
No, just thanks. Thanks for everyone for watching. Hopefully, it's something that people are interested in. We've put a lot of work into it over the last 12 months, so yeah, we're quite keen to see some progress with it this year.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will get that because it's a
Yeah.
brilliant service that adds huge amounts of value to anybody looking for some sort of off-site managed service. Um, and look, from my side, thanks everybody for taking the time out to listen.
Yeah.
Thanks very much to you, Sean, as well, for taking your time to jump on to this lovely fireside chat.
You
I look
probably need
forward
to
to
buy
getting
it
into.
now. I'm suspecting it's not the warmest sitting in your car.
No, it was fairly warm when I left earlier, but it's certainly not now. And I've been out the house for ages now. So thanks very much, everyone. There's as I say, there's more information on this to follow, and it's a joint collaboration that we'll be talking about, not just now, but for a long time to come, and certainly as we have more features and things to offer, we'll be
Yeah.
shouting about it a bit louder.
Great stuff.
On that note, we'll say goodbye and thanks a lot.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks, Peter. Thanks all.
Cheers, Sean.
Thanks. Bye.